Hello everyone, Lily Akers back once again with Lily Akers Entertainment. Today we will be playing NASCAR 2005 Career Mode, part number 2. If you enjoy video game content, be sure to smash the like button and consider subscribing. Today we will be racing the Door County 150 at Old Spice Speedway and the Lehigh Valley 150 at, you guessed it, Nazareth Speedway. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with NASCAR 2005, Old Spice Speedway is actually a road course. It's not very often that you find road courses in NASCAR. Typically, they are found in the Cup Series level, but they make an exception here. Now, typically, I don't really think much of this track, but it is really easy to get a good time here. It all depends on your setup. As you see here, we have tire pressure at 15. We've taken the rear spoiler down 10 degrees to 60. We have left the springs the same, taken the wedge down to negative 0.5, and we have raised fourth gear from 1.3 to 1.35. Now we will go out to qualify. With no assists at all, I have been able to get down in my own team to somewhere in, I believe it was like the mid to high 42s, I want to say. Yep, this track does go fairly quickly. It really is quite something to behold. That is, once you get used to it. Yeah, that turn back there, that is not out of bounds, apparently. For some reason. And this is the reason why I love to lower the ratio on the spoiler, because you can get a really good run out of the last corner. I like to take it as high as I can on the rev count before I get to the limiter, which is 9,500. I like to try and take this in second gear, again up to as close to 9,500 RPM as possible. And now down the back straightaway. Use the slope to your advantage. Get on the gas nice and early. And we're 43.49. We will quit the session here. And we are a solid 1 second ahead. Now, here's the thing. I don't typically change much. I wasn't in love with how high the fourth gear ratio was, so I'm going to up that a little bit. The downforce could be lowered a little bit more, so I'm going to lower that to 55. The tire pressure will bring up to, let's see here. We'll bring that up to 21. And we will start the race. Into turn 1, hard left-hander. Turn 2 to the right. You are able to slide, but be very careful with how you do so, especially if you're not playing with assists. The only assist I'm using right now is traction control. I'm not a top tier player, so I do like to try and hold on to one assist. And there's a lap. 43.677. And that's on the first lap and to get up to speed lap. Again, into turn 3. I am very tight through there for some reason. Kind of that kink down through turn 4 and 5, double left-hander. Through 6, down the rest of the backstretch, and into turn 7. The hairpin turn 7. 43.58, that is almost our qualifying speed, and we are now 3.8 seconds ahead of second. If you play your cards right with this track, this is a very easy one to win. You just gotta make sure that you don't slide the car too much into these corners. If you do accidentally get yourself caught up in something, you do have plenty of time to get back into the top 5 or 10. Alright, I think we passed our qualifying time. We're at 43.47. It's not the fastest lap I've ever done, like I said before. Let's be careful with the car, if you don't mind. Yeah, if you're not careful, if you hit a wall, you will lose a ton of time. So, if you see yourself going a little too quickly in the corners, yeah, make sure you don't do that. That is a bad idea. You know, this track kind of reminds me a little bit of both Watkins Glen and a Sonoma kind of put together. You have a little bit of the Watkins Glen in like the first half of the track. But especially these days, you have kind of almost a mirrored version of the double right-hander from Sonoma. And then you have Sonoma's final turn again, but just in the opposite direction for turn 7. Kind of leads onto roughly the same kind of stretch as Sonoma, but you have more of an elevation change. So it kind of gets that nice combination all in one, which really makes it quite enjoyable to drive, really. Okay, I think I've set this car up a little bit too loose, took a little bit of, maybe a little bit too much downforce out of it with the rear spoiler. I took out another 5 degrees worth. It's at 55, it was at 70. So I did take out quite a bit. Probably better off around 60, give or take. Now I also have the wedge down at minus 0.5, so that's not gonna help. I don't know why I went down first gear there. That was not a smart idea. It won't help because you're going to be constantly overcorrecting the car. If you're too much in the negative on the wedge, you're also going to be putting too much strain on the tires. So you definitely don't want to have it too high or too low on the wedge. It's more just a personal comfort zone than anything. I prefer it to be just a tad loose, but not too much to the point where I'm constantly sliding all over the place. Turn 2 there is extremely tricky. I tend to take that more often than not a little bit too quickly. But with 18 laps to go and almost a 10-second lead, or a 10-second lead. It really doesn't matter all that much. Just make sure you don't hit anything. Again, something to keep in mind, this is a 3-star ride. The higher the star rating, the better the contract. The better the contract, the better the car. The better the car, the better the performance. Now, even the top tier 5-star rides are not going to be as good as your maxed out, quote unquote, my team car. For lack of a better phrase, like F1 2020 has a my team career mode. I do like to try to get at least one season of driving for a team and then one season of my team career mode. So I may or may not decide to do that. I think what I'll do is I'll do that just for the Busch and Cup series, just to kind of give you guys an idea of just the overall difference. I do like to do that for all series, but for the Featherlight series and the trucks, that would kind of be overdoing it, so I'll only do my team for the upper 2 series. Now, 2 interesting things here. I would have personally thought, having not played this game for like 2 or 3 years, that at least the tires or the fuel would be about halfway by now. The fuel especially, with me pulling so many RPMs all the time. But I guess I've just forgotten how long these last. And that was the fastest lap of the race, on lap 11 at 43.423. So somehow, despite the fact that this car is supposed to be getting slower, it's somehow getting faster. Not quite sure how that works, but okay. The lead is up to 15 seconds now, so... And because there are, for some reason, no caution flags in this game for the Featherlight Modified Series, I am not... First of all, I'm not quite sure why that is the case. Second of all, there are no pit stops to be made. But if you do, that kind of ruins your race. So you want to make sure that is not needed. Ooh, wow. Okay, that was close. A little too close for my liking. I have had a couple of races here in the past when I was first playing this game. This game first came out, I believe, in 2004. I'd have to take a look at the case for that, but the entire reason you're even getting a look at this game right now is because I'm using the case as a prop up. Yeah, the angle of which I'm using this from is not the best, but it's worked so far, kind of, with Banjo-Kazooie, but I just realized that keeping the camera, getting it zoomed in a little bit more is way better for the video quality, so this should be a lot easier to manage. Now, as you may or may not have heard, the volume's a little bit lower on this because my parents are asleep, so I don't want to... shift gears. So I don't want to wake them up. But you may have heard or see on the minimap that we are coming up to lap some cars. If you find this to be the case in any series, be extremely careful, especially on the road courses. they like to pull really, really good apexes. So you want to make sure that you actually kind of follow them a little bit when it comes to the apexes. Like, for example, don't do what I just did for that apex right there by making the apex like 10 feet wider than it should be. But you want to follow more what they do. Yeah, I know. That was a stupid idea. You'll see what I mean here in a couple laps once we catch them. Once you start catching a draft off of them, and the draft is huge in these cars, by the way. Once we catch them, they're on the front stretch now. You're going to find a lot of dirty air. You're going to be slowing down quite a bit. Your tires are going to be off. So you're really going to need to save your tires. You don't want to spin out. You're going to need to go way slower because they go way slower. As you can see by the fact that we've gained over 1 second a lap on them since the race began. We are working lap 17 of 25. Halfway on fuel now, coming to the end of lap 17. That I was not expecting. I thought it was going to be a lot sooner than that. I thought it would be more like lap 15. Easily. At the latest. But I guess having not played in such a long time, my memory is not as good as it used to be with NASCAR 05. With the My Team section for the Modified and the Truck Series, I will have a driver. I'll assign a driver to do those. And for the My Driver in the Busch Series and the Cup Series, I will actually do both of those myself. Yeah, don't go in a second gear there for turn 2. The way the original setup is, it's just too high the RPM range. You would actually be well above the rev limiter going in second gear there, so we want to be in third. As a reminder for those playing on manual transmission, shift down is the X button, shift up is Y. Alright, we're coming up on our first lap car here. So as you'll see here in a second, I'm going to have to start slowing down for these guys and kind of picking my way through smartly. We're currently now we're 23 seconds ahead of second place. So this race has pretty much been long won. That 43, I think it was 76 the lap previously, is going to be much slower in about a couple laps here. Or maybe even next lap. As you can see, we have caught lap traffic. Usually by the end of the straightaway, it's about 148 miles an hour the way I have this set up. But it's about 150 now. And that's our first lap car down. Great. They're side by side in front of me. This is going to be especially tricky. Worn tires. We've got 4 cars worth of lap traffic. You're going to have to play it very, very smart here. We don't want to wreck. We don't want to spin. We don't want to have to do anything stupid. Get that good run off the corner. I prefer to go to the outside of lap traffic going into turn 1. You can see going through turn 2, they are about 20 miles an hour slower going into through turn 2 than I usually am in clean air. I don't have to push the issue right now. Like I said, this race has been a long one. And like I said, that lap was almost 2 seconds slower than our best lap. It was a 45.33. So trying to get through this lap traffic is a giant pain in the butt. Especially when they're side by side through turn 3. That does not help. Any. At all. Let's see if I can get both of these guys going into turn 7 here. Nope, I'm only going to get one of them, I think. Way too wide, way too wide. Okay, I think it's safe to say we're only going to get one, but that's okay. Okay, maybe we'll get 2. Maybe I can get this third one going in turn 7. Dive late on the brakes. Of course. And there we go. And now we're going to do a donut, because why not? We're going to do a little bit of celebrating. And I think that's enough. That was me, you heard? Being completely stupid. That's one thing I'm really good at, is being quite dumb. We had a lot of hero points. And over 17,500 fans, so that was a pretty good race. We have a phone call from Ace. Or Ryan. Thank you, my friend. Appreciation again for signing me to your team. And now we go to Nazareth. Now for some strange reason, I guess literally just because it's here, I like to go straight across this. I don't know why. And I like to go super slow on the outlap, because that will help with keeping the tires from getting too worn. Now we'll pick it up. And you can go pretty quick here. Pretty much flat out almost. If not flat out. Again, like I said, pretty easy to drive. Almost a little too easy with these modifieds. Hardly lifted through 3 and 4. Some people describe this as a three-turn track. Some people describe it as a 4-turn track. Some because of like that little dog leg in the middle of the front stretch. Some call it 5. It's been called all 3 in its history. Personally, I kind of just call it 4. You know, it reminds me a little bit of Phoenix, actually. You know, with the, except now that it's 1 and 2. Well, I guess you can't call it 4 turns anymore, can you? I guess it's kind of 4 plus. Bring that up to 21. Go a little bit higher on 4th gear. Do I take out a degree? Do I not take out a degree? It will be a little looser. It won't handle as well. A little higher top end speed. Yeah, I'll take it out. I don't know why, but I will. And time for the race. Again, going into 1 and 2, very easy. Because of the extra tire pressure, it is a little bit tighter to start off the run. In theory, I probably shouldn't put it up that high. Probably shouldn't have taken out that extra degree of spoiler, but I did. So I'm just kind of stuck with what I got. So far, though, half a second lead after a lap and a half. I will say, not too bad, not too bad. I have driven this car literally all the way up to the rev limiter at the back end of the backstretch. I don't recommend that. Heck, I've actually driven it up to, I think, 97. Definitely don't recommend that. Don't want to blow up the engine. But here, it was about 9,300, and as you can see, I completely blew the corner trying to tell you that. Lap times are fairly consistent around here. Usually in the 25.4s, 25.6s at the start of the race. I am very tight. What is wrong with that? Why am I this tight? And we're just going to settle in for a few laps here. Okay guys, status report. Really nothing to say. I have hit the wall twice in nearly exactly the same spot, which is quite impressive actually, coming out of 4. Our lead is now 4.8 seconds nearly. I have had to lift off into turn 3. You see the marks there, that's where I hit the wall. We have improved our best lap time from I believe a 25.44 to a 25.325. And I've been consistently running laps around 25.59 to 25.66. So yeah, that's really about it. Gonna get back in the groove and see what we can do. Alright, everybody, quick update. We now have 10 laps to go. Our lead is 8.5 seconds. We are starting to come up to the back of the field, but we won't get there in time, I do not think. We are currently running lap times between the mid 25.5s and the mid 25.7s, although I screwed up turn 3 there, so that one was a 78. So I will be back with another and final update with 3 to go. Alright, everybody, we have 3 laps to go. Last lap, as you can see right there, I did scrape the wall coming out of turn 2, but I was able to slow down enough into turn 3 to be able to get a 25.8. So far, with 2 to go, all of my lap times have been within half a second of my fastest. We hit halfway on fuel at lap 22. We hit low fuel, which I believe is close to a quarter tank, on lap 33 or 34. And with 1 lap to go, after running a 25.66, we have just caught the tail end of the field. And of course, I am catching them in the completely wrong spot. I love it. It's neat, great, and grand. But I'm going slow enough that it shouldn't matter too much. And it is still a 25, I believe it would be 25.7 at that point. And we won by a pretty handy margin, too. 3 allies, race results, average speed 130, almost 140 miles an hour. Margin of victory was 12 seconds. $2,500, and we got 200 in merchandise. Nice. Gained 1,100 hero points, 1,000 prestige, and 15,000 more fans. Always good to have more fans. Well, if it means reading fan mail, I do love to read. If it comes to reading the newspaper, only the sports section and the weather page. But the simple fact that most of the 4 bags smell like perfume, I'm not really sure how to feel about that. I've been single since 2011, actually. So we will see you in the next episode. Until then, fare thee well.